name is Carmen Bowman, and I'm with Edu-Catering, catering education for compliance and culture change. And thank you for joining me for part of what I call a series, Proactive Practices to Prevent Falls. I would also add to that, CNAs, we could use your help to identify what a person's cues are, cues for anything, but particularly bathroom patterns, for anything, but particularly bathroom preferences, routines. You, because you work with people probably more than any of us, you know those things about people, even if they can't tell us. And that is priceless information. Please pass it on and please help it to get in all the right places. So I would think the care plan is one of the right places, but maybe it's also warranted to have on some Cardex system or maybe a task list, whatever the processes are in your home, to help more and more people know these details about people's lives and about these people who live where you work. Another proactive practice I've learned from others is actually talking to your therapy team about these ideas as well. So are your therapists actually proactively checking in as well? Are they proactively asking the 4 P's and an E? And because they can help someone to the bathroom, are they helping people to the bathroom? That is profound. And then a really best practice I've heard is to include use of the bathroom in therapy time. So it's wonderful. That can be an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and I would add that this would certainly apply to your restorative nursing team as well. And I'd be curious to know what other thoughts and other ideas you might have as well. And if I didn't say this before, the same with nurses. Can nurses help people get to the bathroom as well? Nurses, CNAs, the restorative team, of course, and therapists are the qualified ones to help someone to the bathroom. And therefore, we really need their help to do it. And we need to protect their time in any ways we can so that they're more available to help people get to the bathroom. One time I worked with a staff development coordinator who always took the oxygen and went and filled it up all the time. Anytime he saw a tank that needed it, he did that so that CNAs were more available to people to do other things, particularly the bathroom. We could all do things like that to protect their time as well. Another wonderful best practice I've heard is perhaps a therapist, or again, the restorative team or a nurse offers themselves to the CNAs when they need a second person and another CNA is not available. You know, you never know in the course of a day how these things might work out, might not, but the more we talk about creative ways to help each other and to be more proactive, the better, and the better the outcomes that will come. So now we move on to the better practice of team members outside of the ones we just talked about. So people who maybe aren't qualified to help someone to the bathroom, but we can certainly ask those questions. So think about how you could get everybody learning them. So we want housekeepers to say them. We do, before they leave the room. If maintenance has to go into a room, we want them to ask before they leave. I've worked with so many teams, and I'm thinking of one in Florida where they said, yep, we all know the 4 P's and an E, Carmen, including the IT guy. Yes, that's what we want. And guess what happened to their falls, everyone? They came down. Yes, they did. So I know some of you also have agency staff in the building. Okay. Teach them the 4 P's and an E. You pay them a lot of money. If I was you, I would expect more from them for all the money that they're making. How about you? And then as well, you might have contract staff in dining or housekeeping or environmental services. Same thing. This is part of your culture. They are now required to ask the 4 P's and E like anybody else and to help you be proactive in preventing problems, particularly falls. Then, believe it or not, we love going beyond what you might normally think of. What about other residents? Yes. What about some residents? I bet you most of you have, a handful, a few people who live there who are very interested in helping others, interested in volunteering, what I might recommend is to talk to them about this very idea and invite them to consider becoming a friendly visitor type volunteer. And they go in and check in with people, visit people, spend time with people, get to know people. That's the point. And then you also would teach them the 4 P's and an E, to ask those questions before they leave someone alone. And thereby, you now have people who live there helping you to create just so much more life in the building, friendships in the building, and preventing things like accidents from falls. Next, we have a similar idea, and this would be reaching out to any family or friends who come to visit for long lengths of time. So notice what I'm saying. There tends to be a few where a family member or a friend come and stay all day long, or all afternoon long, or all morning. And it's just an idea to ask that family member or friend if they might be interested in becoming that friendly visitor. You would teach them the 4 P's and an E. They would start to realize that serving in that role as a volunteer would also include actually helping to proactively prevent falls. And so we offer that as an idea to reach out to those few family members or friends who stay for long lengths of time. And we've seen it work, and we've seen people really take that role seriously, and we've seen it grow into other things. One particular family member who came often, who did this, was a teacher. And so he then kind of took it upon himself to wear a different hat every day to create discussion and conversation. Isn't that wonderful? So again, maybe think about your own creative ideas of taking it further with family or friends who come and stay for longer lengths of time. And then you might not be surprised, I would offer the next idea to seek volunteers and seek out volunteers to be the friendly visitor, to then also be taught the 4 P's and an E, and to then proactively check in and notice what's happening. You have really covered your basis with all people who work there, people who visit there, people who volunteer there, and people who live there. Why not? This is what excites me. This is what energizes me, is to go after doable ideas that are right under your nose that maybe you just haven't done before, and to see what improvements all around, more friendship, okay, more relationship, okay, knowing people's needs better, okay, preventing falls, great. Isn't it just wonderful? And I encourage you to go beyond that. What else? Be creative and see what else you might think of. On that note of being more creative, I learned this from a creative team, and I kind of just call it being proactive active. Look at this. So one particular team I got to work with decided they were going to assign particular people to help individuals that live there, residents, in the bathroom at certain times. So I just love this. It was the managers. It was MDS coordinator, who's a nurse, staff development coordinator, who's a nurse, DON nurse, right? It was a lot of higher management nurses that had this idea. But notice, even if you're not a nurse or a CNA, like I was the activity director, maybe assign me to someone who can walk to the bathroom on their own, but they just need reminded or cued to do so. So utilizing everyone again wisely, depending on what they can help someone do. Get proactive active, like get more active and get more proactive. That's just an example. Maybe helping someone to the bathroom before a meal or after a meal. Someone's assigned to breakfast, before or after breakfast, someone else before or after lunch, maybe even before supper, after supper, whatever would be helpful to the team. Isn't that great? And now we apply proactively checking in with people at night. We have some very institutional practices going on at nighttime to check in and change someone every 2 hours, often wake someone up. And we do our duty because it's all about the duty. We're putting the task before the person. Now they're awake, and many times now they're restless and they get up and fall. Another problem with this is doing the same thing to everyone every 2 hours is generic care. We're actually supposed to give individualized care. So I really encourage you to take a step back and talk as a team, talk to the person. Do they want to be woken up at night? I love it when teams have actually started to ask the person. And, if they can't tell you, then you all talk about it, really think about it, maybe watch it, observe it. Does that person need different than every 2 hours? Do they need more often? Could it go 3 hours? And then I challenge you to actually shoot for 4 hours. Why? Because 4 hours is what is called restorative sleep. That is when our bodies heal. And many teams have challenged themselves to get to at least 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You'll be so proud of yourselves. Many, 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 many teams have done this over the 3 decades of the culture change movement, and they would never go back. Another neat thing to think about is to tiptoe. When you tiptoe into someone's room and you check and tiptoe back out, that's a neat example of being proactive, not just going in and flipping on the light and making someone do something because it's on the hour that you're supposed to. As well, take advantage of the longer wear incontinence products if you aren't. It's usually not everyone that needs one, so just buy them for the people who need them and then really see how well someone does and how long they can go and how long the product is designed to go. I actually know of teams, they won't tell you who they are because they're too embarrassed, but they took the products home and they allowed themselves to be incontinent in them in order to see what it felt like. And they came back and reported that those products work. Can you believe that? That is amazing. So go get those products for the people who need them, study them well, get really familiar with them, talk to the vendor, maybe have a lead person who learns the product well and then teaches everyone. I've seen that. And then as well, remember, most of you have pressure reducing mattresses. So, put all that into the equation. I've heard people say, we need to let these products do what they're meant to do and stop worrying so much, move towards creative ways, proactive ways, and then being much more individualized than generic. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.